going from the guy who was about to just give up on wrestling and go, well, I guess I don't have it. That's what I always liked about working for Vince is everybody gets their swings at the bat. Yeah. Vince points the camera at everybody. And so, but in WCW, your future is determined, like, by the time you sign your contract. Mm-hmm. I mean, Diamond Stud was the lowest paid guy in the company. I made $75,000 a year. So you're never going to beat a guy who makes $250,000. Right. That's just never going to happen because the guys in the office say, well, we have $250,000 invested in him, so we need to feature him. Like, they don't go by crowd reaction or work rate or move set or any of that, They don't go by any of that. Yeah. So I always thought, man, I just want to work for Vince because he points the camera at everybody, and I just got to know, like, maybe I hit a single, maybe I strike out, but maybe, just maybe, I hit it out of the park. Right. And I want to know. I mean, and Vince merchandises everybody. I remember when I talked to Kurt about coming in, I said, I mean, now you got to remember backtracking. I did my first match as Diamond Stud. I come home to Orlando, I got a message. Now I call Pat. He's like, hey, kid, love the gimmick, Well, I got to ask you, did you sign a contract with them sons of bitches? And I said, oh, yeah, Pat, I just drove back from doing it. And I said, man, I don't want to work for them. I would have called your office every week for a year if I did. Yeah. And he went, calm down, kid, calm down. Right. You'll be able to tell them in a year that New York wants you.
Yeah. Now,
so that's kind of the way it is.
Now, the business changed a lot during that time. You had the steroid trial, and they started doing a lot of really gimmicky stuff.
I was interviewed by the lawyers to be a witness for Vince because I was more successful off the roids. Yeah, it was a hard time. I mean, the steroid scandal was going on. At the same time, I guess as a PR move or to whatever, Vince created IcoPro. Right. Remember all that?
Yeah. That was around the WWF time, right?
Then they had the WWF. Now, who's funding all that shit? No. The wrestling revenue. Right. And paying for Vince's high-dollar legal team. Yeah. And business is down because that steroid scandal shit hurt. Yeah. So business is down when I'm finally getting a break. And I'm fucked. We're working our asses off. But I'm happy to say at the end of that Razor run, my last match for Vince was in Madison Square Garden, and it was sold out. Mm-hmm. I was semi-main, Kev was main, and it was the most revenue they'd taken in till that time. That was a non-revenue deal, like biggest house show ever at that time. Right. And we're leaving, and Vince isn't selling it. He's not he won't cave. It was crazy.
Yeah. And when that happened, how soon before that had the talk started about going to WCW? Was it when the suspension happened, or was it even before that?
No, I didn't get suspended until I gave my notice.
Okay.
I got suspended on a drug test that was 6 weeks old. Yeah. Right. Normally, you got the results within a couple of days. All of a sudden, I give my notice. They go retro and go, oh yeah, by the way. Yeah. I mean, I'm at a show where I'm going to have to work twice. I remember I was somewhere in Jersey, some spot show. I'm going to have to work twice because Sean and Kev aren't there. Their flight is delayed. They're not going to be there. So I'm going to work twice like I often did as Razor. I'd go out like early in the card, then come back in the main event. And the fans are getting screwed, but at least they leave there kind of go, well, it's still okay. I don't know. I'm doing what's asked of me. Then the agent comes in and tells me to call the doctor. You have to call the doctor for your results of your drug test. I go call the doctor. His wife says he's not home. He'll be home later. So I go back in the locker room, start getting dressed. Tony Gurria comes to me and goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting dressed, Tony. I'm wrestling twice. You getting ready? And he goes, no, you call the doctor? I said, yeah, he's not home. He's going, well, they want you to leave the building. I said, so you're telling me you know the results before I do? So this whole chain of custody thing's a bunch of bullshit, and you already know the results. So I said, I haven't heard anything yet. He might be telling me I have fucking cancer. I don't know. I don't know the medical results. Like, what's up? So I remember sitting next to Taker, and he was like, fuck, why don't they just push him out the door? And the thing about giving your notice was Vince's contract at that time was a 1-year deal that rolled over. and you were guaranteed 10 matches at no less than $150 a match. So you're guaranteed $1,500 a year, and you give Vince everything. You give him all your rights, all your shit, all your everything for $1,500. Now, you got paid way more than that, but it wasn't guaranteed. So all I wanted was to talk shit over. And but the contract I had waiting from WCW was, if I choose to show up, I am guaranteed this, but I'm not required to come to work for WCW. So I had this big shot agent out of Hollywood and the big shot lawyer, so I had everything stacked in my favor, but Vince wouldn't guarantee anything. Now, I've seen an interview that he did after that where he said, I wasn't giving out guarantees at that time, and he goes, I don't blame him. I might have probably taken the money, too.
Right.
So it's kind of like now Vince is cool with it, and I've been welcome back. I got a Legends contract on my calendar here. I just got to get it notarized.
Yeah.
I'm going to NXT next week to work with the young guys. Like, I'm finally back in the fold. But initially, Vince treated me like I stood him up at the prom. I mean, he took it personal, and I was making a business decision. I had been to Connecticut into the office and had a meeting with him and asked him, was there any way to increase my revenue? Like I said, hey, I recognize there's only so much money that comes in on house shows and pay-per-views. I said, but what about, and Vince, it was, it wasn't a publicly traded company yet. It was a family business. So if I made more, Vince really felt like it was coming out of his pocket. He made less.
Yeah. But
so I said, well, Vince, what about merchandise? Like, if somebody buys a Razor t-shirt, that's their money. I said, can I have a little bit more of their money? Or I said, what about Japan? Like, can I go there and get their money? And he was like, no. So I'm like, well, fuck.
Right.
And Pac, Kid was out in California, talked to this guy, Barry Bloom, who's a big shot agent, who represented Jesse Ventura when Jesse sued Vince for royalties off videos and won. And I was the first active wrestler that he handled. But I introduced him to Goldberg, and he ended up, he still works with Kev and his movie stuff. And he works with Jim Ross. He worked with Dusty. He went on Rowdy Piper. He went on to be like a major, most influential agent in wrestling. But I was his first client. And Kid was out there just hanging out. I don't know how Kid ran across him, but he's out there in L.A. just hanging out. And he calls me, and he tells me what WCW's offering him. And I said, what they're prepared to offer him if he's available. And I said, oh, my God, find out how bad they want me. Because at this time, Vince has you so busy working and making appearances and being at Walmart grand openings, signing, by the way, for free.
Right.
Often, I made appearances and got zero. And Vince got all the money. I was talking to some of the guys the other day at the pay-per-view in Houston, and Jack Swagger had just come from some signing, and I said, did you get paid? He goes, oh, yeah. And I said, back in the day, bro, it all went to the office.
Jeez.
It's just how it was.
Yeah.
How it was, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong. And you would get a memo, you have been personally selected by Vince to represent the company at this appearance. And you better not be late, and you better be charming. And by the way, then get your ass to the building because you got to wrestle and drive a couple hundred miles to the next town. It's just the way it was. And I'm not trying. No one ever had put a gun to my head and made me do it. I mean, I was there because I was loving it, but it was different. It was work.
Yeah, and when you did go, I remember I asked you this at DDP's birthday thing a couple years ago, before WrestleMania 30. But
yeah,
how different would wrestling be if you and Kevin didn't go? Because the NWO wouldn't happen. Austin winning the King of the Ring and doing the Austin 316.
No, none of that would have happened.
Yeah,
none of that would have happened. I think that obviously it was great for wrestling, but I often wonder, like, what if I had just worked somehow at Vince and I'd stayed and been Razor like my whole career?
Right.
I think the pay scale would be lower. The pay scale's lower now. I mean, it ain't no secret.
Yeah.
Guys are still getting paid pretty good, but not like they were before because there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy.
And the way those guys do get paid huge money. Guys like Rock and Austin and Triple H and the whole clique, Shawn Michaels, all those guys, how they got paid huge? Was merch. Vince started giving up the merch to them.
Yeah.
Because, it's other people's money. And it was all things that I discussed with him, and he said no.
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know, but you know what? Also,
it cost him a lot in a sense by letting you and Kevin go.
I'm only doing this because you're interviewing me. But I'm so happy to be back in with them that I don't give a fuck what happened in the past.
Yeah.
You know, they're not looking back, either am I. I'm just trying to help with these young cats.
And that period helped them get to where they are now. You know, like
I would love to help guys cross over from NXT to Raw to get them ready for that transition. You know.